we're going to go through our presentation and then we're going to hop right into it. Can I get a verbal yes that you guys can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Um, so let's jump right into it. We know South Bay's journey. We've been around for about 20 plus years, and so many things have happened during the peak season. What have you learned from this particular peak season that has stood out to you that may be a little bit different from the last?
Well, thanks for the introduction, Justin. Um, I think that uh, I think as the time goes, maybe it's just my age. I think it gets shorter and shorter. Maybe because I'm getting older, but I think that in my day, I've been in the moving industry over 40 years. Um, I think that summertime for us older guys in the business used to be from the end of May all the way until September 15th. And now, I mean, most of the kids are in school right now. So, I mean, the summer ended about a month late. I mean, earlier. I mean, than it did before. And then I think that it actually shortened the season. And then just with other economic constraints, things like the interest rates being high, not a lot of activity, the economy is kind of just chugging along, but not doing real good. I think that there's been a low move volume, but I think all in all for South Bay, we had a great peak season.
Excellent. And that's an excellent segue into what this peak season was like, what summer is like. I don't, sometimes people don't have a great insight on what other moving industries are going through or what kind of certain things that they have to navigate. Was this the busiest time of the year for the moving industry for yourself and for what you saw from other businesses?
Of course, I think traditionally it's always going to be the busiest time because most of the kids are out of school. But I think that as in time goes, year-round school, I think that the industry's changed a little bit, that it's spread out a little bit more, which is good. And it's good and bad. You know what I mean? Like just like anything else, from my perspective, over the years this has changed. That some of the moves are spread out. Some of the bigger, older, more mature van lines. There's a lot of young and up and coming moving companies, and and they've like taken a little bit of steam from the older companies. The moves and the work is a little bit more spread out than before. It used to be consolidated to me just within a small group of moving companies, and now it's grown far beyond what I can describe. But I think that still we're going to, for even for years to come, summer will always be the busiest time. 2024 compared to last year, no. Compared to a couple summers and COVID, no. But it's still going to be the busiest time.
All right. So no crazy huge changes that you've seen.
No, not at all.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. And then kind of segue into our next point, we're thinking about resources for the military community, but I know that's why you kind of had a special guest on today. So I'm going to give you the mic, the hosting hat dad right now, and introduce you to Wes, and let's dive into how they're a huge resource, not for the military community, but just also for moving the industry itself.
Yeah, so today we've got a special guest, Wes Struebing. He's CEO of Next Move. And Next Move is an alternative to that could probably help in PPM moves if you're an individual military member. And also if you're a smaller mover that just pretty much does local moving, or even if you're a bigger company and you need some capacity help. Um, Wes has been in the moving business his whole life. He's a Southern California guy, and but he's been in the business forever. And I'm happy to introduce him. And so, with that, I want to introduce everybody to Wes Struebing. Wes, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today.
Man, Mario, thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon, man. No,
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's hard to believe that we've known each other for 30 years now.
Is there any way? Tell everyone that's out there a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got in the moving business.
My family started moving and storage business. My dad was on his way to be a professional, and some old timers, Bill Struebing, our family owned a company called Moving in Los Angeles. We had 5 branches, and at one point in time, we were the 3rd largest Mayflower agent. So I spent about 42 years in the van line networks, doing every single job you can imagine to do. But
Wes, we're seeming to have a little bit. We're having a little bit of audio problems with you. I don't know. Hold on one second, everyone.
Wes, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. We couldn't hear you for most of your introduction. Let's start all over again and let's try it one more time. And that's fine. Maybe you can turn off. Maybe there's an internet loop, and you can just turn off your video and then just go audio for now.
Works for me.
Okay. All right. Again, Wes Struebing. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Wes, and one more time for an introduction, and just tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. I'm a 3rd generation moving professional or moving in logistics. My grandfather started a moving business in Southern California. My dad then took over that business when he passed. And my dad eventually ended up bankrupting that business. But I've continued the moving business well after that now for, I hate to say this, you're making me date myself. 42 years, Mario, I've been in the industry.
Oh, wow. You know what? I met Wes probably in the 80s at Grable Van Lines, when he was just getting into sales coming out of college. So we've kind of known each other and been in the same space for years. Listen, let me ask you this. Tell us a little bit about Next Move and what you think about it and where you guys are going with that, and how could it, first and foremost, tell us how it would help out the military community.
Well, I think ultimately, at the end of the day, we're a value-based, high-quality moving organization that is selling services key to moving members. Essentially, we're kind of like an Uber for moving. So we're matching demand with capacity. Yes. So we're treating moving services more like a logistics equation rather than an old school regular moving equation like you'd find in the van line networks. In fact, it's my belief after spending so long in the van line industry that the van lines are in trouble. And I think the model is not good. Moreover, I think I don't know of one single agent that's happy with their van line relationship. And I don't know one van line that's thriving financially in this current market. And the people that are ruling the world are like the people on this call. They're people they're high quality local movers. Those are the guys that are winning.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, everything evolves. I was talking to some suppliers the other day, and we were talking about that, again, for the younger people on the call, that Sears was really the first Amazon, and had they had, like modernized, they would have dominated the space. Sears, for everyone who doesn't know, had an online catalog long before anybody, and they had the infrastructure and a brick and mortar to have a distribution set up that would be second to none. But they didn't look forward enough to say, okay, listen, what's the next step? So with some of the van lines, unfortunately, and not knocking the van lines at all, because just not knocking the van lines. It's like, I think that time is coming. So tell us how, I guess my question would be, Wes, if you're a military member, how could that help them as far as booking a move, like what ease of use, things of that nature? Just tell us a little bit about the process. And then we're going to get later on into, if you're an independent and you need help with capacity, how that could help you too.
Yeah, I think that that the industry, the moving industry in general, has had a very difficult and demanding challenging to navigate pricing model for a long time. Very convoluted. Customers don't understand it. Heck, I know some movers don't understand it. When I started in sales and COD sales as a kid, I used to bring this giant catalog case along with me because I had to carry 2 tariffs. I had to carry the California PUC tariff along with me and this giant 3-ring binder interstate tariff. And largely the pricing is still done on the same basis. So at Next Move, we decided to change that completely. So we have a very sophisticated AI-driven pricing platform that takes into account a number of factors, but we price shipments in real time. So if you go to nextmove.com, it's NEXMUV, you end up on 3 screens. You complete very limited information on 3 screens, and you end up with a guaranteed price for a move. That's it.
That's nice.
The
Do you
other
have
thing
any?
that's nice too. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Do you have anything? Can you tell us a little bit about that? You have a financed model. I saw that on your website.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's the other thing is we have a no credit check financing option where you can finance your entire move with our company.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I think that we're going to put definitely your website in the chat. And can you tell, see some of the military members are going more towards a PPM style, which is like just basically a do-it-yourself. They used to call it Diddy back in the day. And with the financing model, that enables them to pay the mover up front and still get reimbursed from the government, and with very little interest incurred because it's only like maybe a 30-day turnover from the time they get a lot of their funds. So that actually helps them out quite a bit, and it would help the general consumer, like if you just did consumer based. Is your service open to like individuals, smaller movers, bigger movers? Do they have a chance to become a partner with you, or?
Yeah, our largest customers are movers, Mario. So we work with local movers to put them in the interstate moving business. So in today's model, it seems like local movers are doing one of 2 things. Either they're throwing leads in the trash, or they're servicing in a way where they could make much more money with their equipment staying closer to home and in town instead of traveling long distance. So those companies, in fact, the largest, I don't want to mention the name, but the largest local mover in the United States. They have 93 offices. They use us as their interstate moving partner.
And that's awesome. And I think that would help the industry because the industry is changing. I know that we have a few operational people on the call, and we're all, I think like anyone that's been in the business knows there's going to be a massive shakeup in the industry. And I think that from what I saw, I think that Next Move is ripe to do something and make a real big impact with that. Listen, I have a question from John Burton, and John, go ahead, and Wes, it might be directed to you. John, you're muted. I'm sorry.
Us old guys don't know how to unmute calls. You know how that goes. I keep tapping my ear and nothing's happening. So anyways, Wes, nice to meet you. I've known of you for years. Mario and I go back probably as close to that 40 years as you can think about. So does Next Move handle commercial moving as well? I went on your site quickly. I didn't dig into it too deep.
I hope Wes isn't frozen.
You handle commercial moving as well. We have. See if that works any better, Mario.
Yeah, no, that does work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that does work. Unfortunately, Wes is a handsome man, but we're gonna have him off screen because we want his voice to be heard because we want the information to get out there to everybody. Go ahead, Wes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, to answer John's question, yes, we're in the commercial space. We've got, essentially, we've got 25,000 partners across the U.S. Most of them are grassroots crew members, and yes, we do quite a bit of commercial moving.
That's good.
Great, thank you.
You know what? I think that, of course, we have a major. I think that would be more. That's more major city, though, right, Wes? I mean, of course, office moving is, but that would be more of a major city, metropolitan city service, correct?
It really depends on the market and what partners we have in market, Mario. So it's hard to limit the scope. I think by and large, we're really solid in major cities. If you get out to some really outlying areas, I think you can imagine we might struggle just like everybody else would.
Now, could a company that wanted to use the finance option, is that open to them too as well? Or is that only open to individuals that are like one time, or is that to everyone?
No, it's open. That's really on a move by move basis where the shipper is applying for financing and getting the financing.
Interesting. That's good. So a corporation could even apply for it if they had a large project. And some of the, like, we don't, like if we have a smaller mover, a smaller transportation company that got on a big project, they could actually use their financing option to, to get the job done until they get paid by the actual customer. Would I assume that would be correct? If I mean that option would be available or no?
Yeah, kind of funny. You're spot on. It would be available. We haven't done that yet, but it is available.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's some good information, because basically I wanted this to be informational, both to the growing PPM market, which is going to be larger. That some say is going to be one of the largest. If you put PPM into an account, it would be the largest account in the United States. I don't want to get into the GHC because that would be the general household goods contract, because that could be like a whole unfurl of, we could probably be here for hours. But I think with anyone in the industry, the GHC is going to be a game changer on how military moves are going to be handled. So I thought next move would be, and having Wes on today's show would be a good segue, both for transportation companies and for the individual that's moving. Let me ask you this, Wes. How long has Next Move been around? How can consumers or anybody get in contact with you?
Well, I can put all my information in the chat, but the simplest way to find us is at nextmove.com, NEXMUV, or email us at support@nextmove.com. We've been around for 5 years, but about 2.5 of those 5 years, we were deeply rooted in software development. We're a technology first organization providing services to the moving industry. So most of our customers are movers. In fact, we're in this business for movers. I'm trying to help the folks that I grew up being.
That's nice. Yeah, when I went on the site and I got into it, I said, you know what, I thought this was good, and I thought it was good because I started this webinar just to reach out both for potential military members that might be moving, and for just operational and salespeople in our industry. So I thought it was a good segue into it, and I just wanted and I thank you for the information. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to ask if anyone else has any questions for Wes or for me, just a hand raise, and we'll be more than happy to do it. If not, we'll just keep on rolling with a few more questions for Wes.
Oh, and guys, it doesn't have to be about Next Move. Like, I've been there, I've done that, I've seen a whole lot in this industry. So I'm happy to answer any questions at all. The last thing I want to do is make this a Next Move commercial. Let's talk moving.
That's good. Justin, do we see any questions out there? John Burton.
John's back.
I'm back.
Yes, sir.
You probably can tell I focus on the commercial side. So although I've done both, but right now I can't spell HHG anymore. But does your services include install, decommissioning, the whole gamut of commercial move, especially since we're seeing so much of that in today's environment?
John, it's really dependent on the market and the partner we have in the market. So moving services is the obvious yes. Installation service is a little more demanding. We do have some OMA members that are in our network, but it just depends on which one and where, as you can understand. And I'm sure that's a question you're asking because you run into the exact same thing.
Right. And yeah, so maybe I'll find some time to try to hook up with you one-on-one at some point so I don't dominate this conversation, if that's okay.
No problem at all.
Okay.
And then, hey, listen, Wes, can you, for the people that out there that don't know, can you explain what OMA is? The association that you just mentioned?
Yeah, so it's the Office Movers Alliance, and it's almost like the net equivalent of a van line for office moving, but it's a cooperative of moving companies that are trying to band together and work together to facilitate large-scale commercial office moving. So a lot of corporate accounts have buildings and facilities all over the country, and they look to organizations like OMA to facilitate all their moving.
That's interesting. Now, listen, we've got another question out there. Georgia Engel, you're on the floor.
All right. Well, I just want to add to what Wes said about OMA. If you are interested in learning more about how to handle office moves, then there's programs out there and companies out there that you can get certified. They can train you on office moving. And by contacting OMA, they can put you in touch with those individuals so that you're not doing it just without any training.
Nice. Thank you very much, Georgia. You know what? I didn't really know as much. I didn't know much about OMA because I'm more of a household goods guy, through and through, furniture from the ground up over 40 years. Now, have I done O&I? Of course I have. And at a high level, our companies right now, they're involved in, I think we probably moved 800 or 900 people on a restoration job for the county of Alameda. That was huge for us, both in and out. So we do have installers, we do have office movers, but it's not our primary. It's not our primary form of business. I think Georgia posted Ed Katz's number there or something like that, and for any. Oh, you did, John. I'm sorry. Ed
No, it wasn't me, but I was going to just bring, you know, Mario. Ed and I go back,
years.
This was a baby, so.
and for you guys that don't know, Ed is the guru of office moving. Came up with some ideas in the 80s that were revolutionary.
His courses are now also available in Spanish, which helps a lot of the companies that were unable to train their employees that didn't speak English.
That's a good point, John. And that's what I'm saying that I could suggest to anybody out there, whether you're a service provider, whether you're a sales professional, whether you're a business owner, you have to evolve. If you met Ed has to be not a day under 75, but he's still growing and thriving and still trying to learn. He's like a lifetime learner. And hopefully one time we can get him on the show here as a guest. And so he can say a little something about office moving. But yeah, no, and that's what I would suggest to everyone is the day that we stop learning is the day that we're probably going to die, or at least that's the way I feel. But if you feel that you can always learn something, and we've got some great guests right now with Georgia and John that are just like, their knowledge is so deep in the industry, and West too as well. So I'm not discounting West, but their information you can share. Everybody can share them in a chat. Georgia is a consultant, and her industry knowledge is deep. And anyone out there that needs to speak to her they can get her information from the chat, or they can reach out to us and we can share information. George, I see you still have your hand raised. Do you have another question, or I'm sorry, that was previous from the before. Okay, but I would just say, yeah, and I just want everyone to know we're getting near on our half-hour slot. Is that we're here to help. I'm going to say the great Milt Hill told me a long time ago. Milt Hill used to own Alexander's Moving and Storage, but he passed away suddenly years ago. Milt Hill told me a long time ago, he helped me out when I had a small company. And I said to him, I said, Milt, why are you going to help me? And I'm a competitor. And he said, well, I'm a lot bigger than you, but that's besides the point. He said, listen, I would rather help somebody that is like-minded in customer service, knows how to price a job, than somebody who's ruining our industry. So I would rather compete against you than compete against someone that knows nothing, that's a scoundrel. And the guy helped me until the day he passed away suddenly. So I've always been the same way, that I will always try to help if you're not, like, I don't have a bar, but if you are of like-mindedness of me and customer service first, then yeah, anything I can do to help. Even if you're in my market, like, of course I can't give you the whole shop away, but I take Milt because I learned a lot from him. I would help you out. And so I think everyone on this call feels the same way. And I just want to see if there's any more questions out there before we wrap it up today. Okay, so listen, I just wanted to thank everyone on the podcast that came, or the webinar. My son will correct me on that. And I wanted to thank him and my team and everybody at South Bay for supporting me during all these endeavors. I'm so glad to, for better or for worse, if you guys have a family business, it's worth every nickel to have one of your own in the business with you. That's my son, Justin. He's done a lot. So I'm real happy that he's here and he's with me, something I always dreamed of. And I want to thank everyone that joined us today. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thanks for taking your time out during a busy day. Wes, would you like to say anything before we wrap it up? And then before we wrap it up today?
Mario, yeah, I want to say thanks, man. As always, it's great to talk. Appreciate you.
Yeah, and then Justin, can you show what Wes's a little bit what Wes's website looks like before we go?
No problem. One moment.
So it's easy. So there's two things. So if you're a military mover, military personnel, and you're doing a PPM move, you see it says get a quote. Very easy to do. Click on that button and you can see book now, pay later. And then that's where the financing option, no credit check, hassle free, applying under a minute, and it's options to fit your budget. And that works for small companies too. You get a big project, qualify for qualify for what your funds are. If you need it and tell your client, I know some of the younger movers out there are smaller movers. You might get a 30, 60, even 90-day net. This might get that bridge to get that big project to get you over the hump, especially in a time where things might be in flux, meaning quote unquote an election year. And then if you want to become a partner and you want to either receive work from Next Move, or you want to send long distance moves through Next Move, you can become a partner. Justin's rolling right now the form. It's a very easy onboarding process. It's seamless. And I think that you can write in your own, basically put your own markup in. They've got a couple different modules on, they've got like an A and a B style of how you could book a move. Like I said, take the time out to get on. Wes's information is going to be in the chat. You can reach out to him personally, or you can reach out to Cassie Bickerstaff, and we're going to put her information in the chat, or you can reach out to her as well. If not, if anyone doesn't have any questions, that's fine. If not, I just want to thank you again, and thank our special guests and that were able to join us. So thank you.
Mara, if I could jump in just to be supportive here, it's why I jumped on to support you and our friendship. If there are any household movers out here that are thinking about commercial, I've done both. Happy to, again, as Mario said, I'd rather compete with someone that knows what they're doing than someone that goes and lowballs things and trashes the industry. So I'm actually in some of Ed Katz's books. I've brought him to 4 or 5 different companies, including JLL and some large project management companies. So my name is John Burton. I'm with Olympia Moving and Storage. Mario knows how to get a hold of me, but if you find me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to help anyone and everyone to try to be successful in these tough times.
And then my connection with John is he was my general manager years and years ago, and he was the first person to ever believe in me that I could do something else besides be on a truck. So I want to tell everybody that, and I want to thank you, John, for that opportunity. And with that, Justin, take it away and let's wrap it up.
All right, you guys, we're going to be reaching out to everybody individually. We want to thank all the newcomers that came on to the Meet the Movers, and we want to thank everybody who's been supporting us this entire time. We can't wait to see you guys next month. And without further ado, have a good rest of your guys of the day.
And thank you very much, guys. Good luck and God bless.
God bless America.
Have a good one.